Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share What's for Dinner videos just like this every Sunday to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family and give you some new meal ideas. So if you're in need of meal ideas and you like these kinds of videos, I hope that you will subscribe down below. As I said, I share these every Sunday so you can come back and get more meal ideas. But I also share grocery hauls throughout the week, vlogs with my family, and other recipe videos like what's for breakfast, what's for dessert, and things like that. So I hope you will subscribe down below. But we had some really good dinners this week, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the video. Friday night we had chicken fettuccine Alfredo. I'm using the Pressure Luck recipe for the fettuccine Alfredo, and he had an option to add chicken to it, but I chose just to make my own chicken on the side because I really like how it turns out in my cast iron pan. So I have 2 chicken breasts here that I've cut in half horizontally to make them thinner, and I seasoned them all over with some Italian seasoning, some onion salt, a little bit of Tony's Creole seasoning because we like a little bit of spice, and some garlic powder. And then I heated up some olive oil in my large cast iron pan and got my chicken in there, and I let it cook for about 5 to 6 minutes per side, or until it reaches the internal temperature. Once I get a good sear on either side, I kind of turn the pan down to like medium low and just let it continue to cook until it's cooked all the way through. Now for the fettuccine Alfredo. In my Instant Pot, I am adding 4 cups of chicken broth and 1 whole pound box of fettuccine, and I broke the noodles in half and poured in a little bit of the broth, added in some noodles, poured in a little bit more broth, added some noodles, kind of like crisscrossing them. And then once I had all those in there, I topped it with a half a stick of butter, and then I put the lid on and let this cook on manual high pressure for 7 minutes, and then I did a quick release when it was done. Then I removed the lid and stirred everything together really well, just trying to break apart the noodles. They were a little bit stuck together, but they all came apart super easily. So I stirred those around, and then I stirred in another half a stick of butter, as well as 1.5 cups of heavy cream, 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, some garlic powder, some black pepper, and then he called for a 5.2 ounce package of the Boursin herb cheese, but Aldi didn't have that, so I got a different version of the like herb cheese. I can't remember what it's called. It starts with an A, and I cannot think of it right now. But yeah, just any kind of herb cheese, or you can even do like 4 ounces of cream cheese. Just get that all stirred in until everything is nice and melted and incorporated. When my chicken was done, I just sliced it, and then we had that on top of our fettuccine Alfredo. This was delicious and really easy to put together. So if you saw last week's What's for Dinner, you know I said one of the eyes on my stove went out. It is actually the main like large front eye, which is the one I use most often. And the stove was old. It was from the 90s. And it wasn't worth like fixing. And if you don't know, my father-in-law actually owns the building that we live in. We rent from him. It's a duplex. He lives on one side, we live on the other side. So he determined it wasn't worth fixing the other one, and he just bought us a new one. Y'all wanted to see what I got. Nothing super fancy. I mean, it's probably nicer than what I had. I do miss my old one a little bit, not gonna lie. Mostly because of the color. This black, it shows every speck of dirt and dust and is kind of a little bit of a pain to keep clean. And then the stainless steel, I know I need a stainless steel cleaner for that part, but if you have any recommendations on cleaner for the top part, the black part, like I guess I need like a streak free cleaner, and I don't know, a little bit of a pain to clean, to keep looking clean. Black just shows every speck of dust, but I'm not complaining. I didn't have to pay for it. So yeah, I'm not going to complain about it, but I think I'm going to keep that in mind in the future. Like whenever I buy a house, that I'm not going to buy black appliances. So Saturday night for dinner, we had like a sheet pan meal, but everything was cooked on separate sheet pans. So I did some roasted potatoes. I've got some little baby red potatoes here that I am quartering, and then I'm going to season them up with a bunch of different seasonings and some olive oil, and then get those on a parchment paper lined sheet pan. Definitely use parchment paper because it makes cleanup quick and easy. On the potatoes, as I said, I did some olive oil, and then I did some onion salt, some garlic powder, a little bit of the Tony's Creole seasoning, some paprika, and just stirred that around. And then I got those on my sheet pan and stuck them in the oven on 425 for about 35 minutes because I wanted them to get nice and crispy. So I got those in there first. And then I started cutting up some zucchini. So I had never done zucchini, I don't think, in the oven, but I figured, hey, what the heck, let's try it. So I like to cut my zucchini in sticks, but then I also like cut out a lot of the seeds from the middle because then it's not too soggy. It stays pretty crisp. And then I just tossed it in that same bowl that I had used for the potatoes with some olive oil and some of the same seasonings, except for paprika. I think I left the paprika off. And then these I held off on putting into the oven until like the last 15 minutes of cooking. Again, 425, but these only took about 15 minutes to get done. And then we had salmon. So I took my salmon and brushed it with some of the Chef Chamois garlic butter that I had melted. And then I sprinkled on some of the Kinder's lemon pepper seasoning. And that was it. Super simple. And this also went in at the last 15 minutes. So it only needed to cook for 15 minutes at 425. And then this is how everything turned out. We've got our nice potatoes, super crispy, our salmon, and then our zucchini. All of this turned out really, really good. Could have all been made on a sheet pan if it would have been big enough. But I feel like the potatoes especially crisp up better when they are spread out on the pan. Sunday night we had some super easy little chicken Parmesan sliders. I like these Tyson crispy chicken strips that I get at Sam's Club. They are really good, like best chicken tenders I've ever had, like from the frozen section. And I get those out of my air fryer basket, and then I stuck them in the air fryer on 375 for about 15 minutes. Then I've got these brioche rolls from Aldi. I just turn them into slider buns by cutting them in half horizontally as best as I can. And then I'm going to take those cooked chicken tenders and I cut them up so that they would like fit like one little piece on each little bun. Got them all lined up on there, and then I topped them with a little bit of marinara sauce and then a slice of mozzarella cheese. And then I put the top buns back on and brushed that with some of the Chef Chamois garlic butter. Well, actually Lily helped me. She brushed it with some Chef Chamois garlic butter. And then I covered this with foil and I stuck it in the oven on 350 for 25 minutes with the foil on, and then I did 5 minutes with the foil off. And to go with this, those of us that like salad had salad with it. Lily, of course, just had some fresh veggies. These were very good. You know what's a good dinner? And I've said this before. When your kids ask you before they're even through with their dinner if there are leftovers for the next day because they want them for lunch. Monday night I made chili. We've been making this chili recipe for over 10 years now, and I've shared it on my channel many times, but it's been about a year since I shared the recipe like step by step. So I thought I would show it again because I'm going to be making it a lot this time of year, you know, fall, winter, it's chili season. So I start off with 2 pounds of meat and I just brown that up with some seasoning. I do some cumin, some chili powder, some salt, some cayenne, and I just get that all nice and browned. Typically I would do 2 pounds of ground beef, but I had some ground pork in the freezer, so I did 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. Once my meat was completely cooked through, I added in 1 can of tomato paste, just stirred that around really well, and then I let that continue to cook for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then I added my meat mixture to my crock pot with 1 onion diced, 1 green pepper diced. Mine was actually frozen because I like to freeze them. And then some more chili powder, cumin, oregano, garlic powder, salt, red pepper, cayenne. And then 3 cans of diced tomatoes, 1 29-ounce can of tomato sauce, 1 can of light red kidney beans, 1 can of dark red kidney beans, and 1 can of pinto beans, all drained. But actually one of those cans of kidney beans, I used a can of chili beans instead and I didn't drain it. But typically I would drain all my beans, but that chili bean adds a little bit of seasoning. I just was using what I had on hand. And then usually I would also add in some dried chili peppers, but I was out and I haven't purchased any for the year, so I didn't add those in this time, but it does give it a nice smoky flavor. So definitely do that if you can find them. I just did not have them this time. And all of the ingredients and exact measurements will be listed out down below for y'all. I just put a lid on that and let it cook on low for 8 hours. And we always just like to top our chili with some cheddar cheese and have some saltine crackers on the side of it. Tuesday night we had Pollo Fundido, which is a dish from Mexican restaurants. It's basically chicken covered with cheese dip and rice and beans. I like to take my chicken breast and season it all over with some of the Goya like complete seasoning and then some adobo, and I just do that on both sides. This is actually just 2 chicken breasts that I cut in half. So it's thin, cut in half horizontally, and then it cooks more evenly. And then I get some oil in my cast iron pan and I just let that cook the same way I did for this Fettuccine Alfredo. It's how I always cook my chicken in my cast iron pan, whether I am using whatever seasoning on it. I just get it in there, do about 5 to 6 minutes per side to give it a nice good sear. Turn the heat down to like a medium low and let it just continue to cook until it is cooked all the way through. It reaches the proper internal temperature. Here's a chicken. Once it was done, I will slice that up for eating. And then we've got some refried beans. I added a little bit of cheddar cheese and sour cream to that. Then we've got our Mexican rice that I make in the Instant Pot. The video for that will be linked down below. And then our favorite cheese dip to use is the El Terrifico white cheese dip that I get from Sam's Club. So here's everybody's plates. Just cut up the chicken, top it with a bunch of that cheese sauce. I do some salsa on mine as well as some of the jalapeno onion crunch stuff from Trader Joe's. Then we've got our refried beans and our rice on the side. Wednesday night we had a family favorite, which is smoked sausage, green beans, and potatoes. This recipe actually came from Kat over at Southern Farm and Kitchen originally, but I've been making it for a couple years now after seeing her make it. And you can make this with like fresh potatoes that you cut up, or I've been taking a shortcut and using sliced canned potatoes because then it makes it a super quick meal. But I will have her video linked down below as well as a video where I have made it recently with canned potatoes. And finally, our last meal of the week is Mississippi pot roast. We're doing crock-pot meals every Thursday because we have martial arts on Thursdays, and it makes it easy to come home to a dinner that's already done. So I put a chuck roast in the bottom of my crock pot, layer on a little bit of the ranch seasoning packet, a little bit of an au jus seasoning packet, and then I always top it with some carrots and potatoes. I did some pretty big pieces of carrot, and then halved baby gold potatoes. And then I sprinkle on the rest of the ranch packet, the rest of the au jus packet, add in some pepperoncinis and a little bit of the juice, and then 1 stick of butter cut up. And then I just stuck the lid on this and let it cook on low for 8 hours. Then we came home and this is what it looked like. I just like to remove all the vegetables to a bowl on the side, and then I will shred up the meat. And then I also use the delay start function on my Instant Pot again to just make some white rice. It's the only thing that I've used the delay start function on. I don't know what else you could use it for, because obviously you don't want like raw meat or something in there sitting for a long time. So I don't know what else you would use the delay start for, but it works really great for some white rice. So my family likes the Mississippi pot roast on top of the rice. I would rather just eat lots of potatoes to fill me up. So I don't eat any of the rice. I just eat the meat and the potatoes and the carrots. And this is my family's favorite way to eat carrots. They love it. They asked me if I could just make the carrots with the seasoning, but we haven't tried to do that yet. They asked me to try it last year at Thanksgiving, and then we were like, well, maybe we'll try that a different time, but we still have not tried to just make the carrots because we just love the roast so much, and we love it with chicken thighs too. Everybody by now has probably tried the Mississippi pot roast, but if you haven't, it's very good. We love it. Some people say it's too salty, but I think if you use a big enough piece of meat, like we use at least a 3-pound chuck roast, and then we use lots of potatoes and carrots, that helps absorb like the saltiness from that ranch packet and the au jus packet. You just have to make sure you use enough stuff to absorb the saltiness, and then you have it on white rice that's like completely plain, so that helps too. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you made it to the end, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know down there what you plan on trying this week from this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!